So to create a new position in HireVue, you simply need to go to the New Position button you see here right above your calendar. And if you do have the option to pick a team, just make sure you pick the appropriate team for the position you're creating. And in this case, we're going to create one for Sanford Rose Associates. So I'm going to label it like that as well, because the first thing you need to do is label your position. And it's very important that you title this position just as it is in your job posting. You want to make sure that your candidates are very comfortable and they know that they are indeed interviewing for the same job that they applied for. Now to the right, you see an option where it says no due date. This is where you can go in and put an expiration date on your position if you'd like to, or you can leave it no due date, which means it's more of an evergreen position that will never expire. So if you do decide to put an expiration date on it, this is the date that will populate on the calendar on your home page that we've already talked about. And also this date will default in on the invitation that your candidate is going to get to take an interview. But I'm going to go ahead and leave this no due date. So the next option you have is Enable OpenView. So OpenView is a fantastic sourcing tool. Every position you create within HireVue, you can get a specific URL link for the position and a QR code. So these two things can be posted wherever you want, on any social media sites, LinkedIn. When you go to campus recruiting events or career fairs, you can post this QR code on cards and hand them out to potential candidates. It's a great tool and you can get very creative with it as well. And one thing I do want to mention here is that it's very, very difficult to make a mistake in HireVue. So as we set this position up, if you either put a wrong due date or maybe you put a due date on this position, you ended up not wanting it, you can always change this date down the line. Same thing with the OpenView. If you do not click this box saying you want an OpenView link and then down the line you change your mind and you do, that's totally fine. You can always go back and get it. So our next option is actually how we're going to set up this position. You have the option of deciding on interview type, and in this case you have your choice between on demand, which we're going to do today, or a live interview. You have two decisions on scoring mode. You can do scoring per candidate, which means you're going to watch the whole interview of your candidate and then give them a final recommendation and rating. Or you can do it per question, which is what we highly recommend you do, and actually it's going to default in like this for you. What this means is you're going to watch your candidate's interview, and after each question, you're going to give that candidate a rating, and then you're going to be able to sort your candidates by that rating, which is going to be pretty important. That's going to allow you to get those valuable candidates very, very quickly. And then the last option is candidate visibility. And again, it's going to default in for you, share within my team, which is really what you want to do. But your two other options are keep private between me and my administrator, and that one's probably pretty self-explanatory. That just means that the position you create and the candidates that apply will only be visible to you and the administrators of this account. The other option is share within my account, which is the larger account, which is everybody who has access to this account will have access to your candidates, your positions as well, which obviously you don't want. So we're going to go ahead and just keep it share within my team. Now it's time to start working on the candidate experience. So obviously we want your candidates to have the best experience possible with HireVue. And when they leave this, we want them to have a good idea of what the process is going to be, a little more about the position that they've applied for, and a little more about you too. And so the first step in that regard is to create intro and closing videos. Very easy to do. So if I click on add a video, I have several options here. So I can upload from a video library, and every time you add a video, it's going to include it in your library that you see here. So as you can see, I've already added one. I can upload a video I have on my PC, or I can record a video straight from my PC. And it's very simple to do. If I click on this button, I can simply talk into my camera, talk to the candidate, and tell them what this process is going to be like. But in this case, let's go ahead and go with this one that I've picked. So I'm going to choose this one. And it's the same process for the closing videos too. So I'll go ahead and pick this one as well. All right, so the next part, we're going to add questions to this position. So if I click on this add question button, I have three options here. And we're going to start with this top one, new question. So we're just going to pick one from scratch. We're going to say, why did you apply for this position? I think that's one that we probably all start with. Okay, so if you look to the right, you have two options here. You can add a video for the candidate to respond to, and actually you can use this in two ways. If you have some sort of video, say you're hiring for maybe a customer service position and you have a training video or an interaction that you want the candidate to respond to, you can simply add that video here. Or you can record yourself asking the question. And again, this is very effective to get your candidates engaged in this process, So I could click on this video and say, hi, my name is Shannon, I'm your recruiter, and why did you apply for this position with us? Very great tool. Now just below that, you can add a PDF or a JPEG or anything of that nature. So if you want to add maybe a copy of an Excel spreadsheet and maybe you're hiring an analyst and you can say, what do you see trending on this sheet? You can do that too. Now the other option is to the left here. If you see this button, you can actually insert a link. So the benefit to this is, say you're hiring maybe a like a web designer and you want them to go to another website and make comments about it and maybe tell you how they would have designed it differently. You can put a link into the question and it will open up another tab, and so the person can go out, look at that website, and then come back and answer the question. So if we scroll down, your candidate's response, you have several different options here. You have an essay response, multiple choice, or selection, and I'm going to go over these three here in just a minute. But for this one, we're going to do a video response for your candidate. So once you pick video, you have your option of configuring the prep time. So the prep time is that time that your candidates have to read the question, formulate an answer before they actually start answering. You can make this time be whatever you want it to be. It typically defaults in as 30 seconds, and most people leave it at 30 seconds. But again, you can change it to be whatever you want it to be, or you can give them no limit, which means they can spend an unlimited amount of time to prepare for the question. Now the response time is the same thing. You can limit the response time to whatever you want it to be. If you just want to give them 1 minute or 2 minutes, that's fine. It's going to default in for you at 3 minutes. We do find most candidates reply within 1.5 to 2 minutes, so 3 minutes is totally accurate.